Hi, I'm Connor Fowler.
And I'm Matt Smith.
You are now listening to Apocalypse Duds. Our next guest, dear listener, was secured at great cost to our program. Several of our interns gave their lives to secure this interview. On the bustling streets of Turkey, amid the vibrant mosaic of cultures and languages, there exists a man who conceals his shadowy past under the guise of an ESOL instructor. Fez, a name only whispered in the underground, is a figure shrouded in mystery and infamy. Once a notorious criminal whose exploits sent reverberations through the criminal underworld, Fez now navigates the corridors of legitimacy, seamlessly blending into the fabric of society. Behind his mostly affable demeanor and impeccable dress lies a past riddled with dark deeds and clandestine operations. A diamond heist in Monaco, an art forgery in Brussels, a sophisticated money laundering operation, ironically, in a Taiwanese laundry. As the students file into his classroom, little do they know that they are in the presence of a master of deception, a fugitive who has chosen to hide in plain sight, weaving a new identity amidst the hubbub of the Turkish streets. Fez, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be
What's
here.
going on?
Lovely,
Thanks for
lovely intro. Hello.
Thank you for coming on. Yeah. That might be one of Connor's best, if I'm being honest. It's a
Wow,
Well,
tough
very nice. Yeah, we can
tough
talk about
bar.
that hiding in plain sight later.
oh yeah, well,
Talk about
Nice
that.
see, it's foreshadowing.
Yeah, yeah,
foreshadowing. Yeah. How you doing
yeah.
today?
It's great. Wonderful. It's like
Nice.
it's almost 11 at night. The day's finished. It was a lovely day. It's Eid. I don't even know if I'm saying it right after all these years
Right.
here, but it's the end of
Yep.
Ramadan.
Yes.
So
Yes. Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
man.
So yep, there was everything is sort of coming back to life here.
Right. Right. That's
So there,
cool.
so it kind of shuts down in like a Catholic sense. Like
Yeah,
everyone
well,
is,
everybody's fasting. A lot of the
yeah.
businesses are closed, and today's the first day of Eid. So especially in the morning, like everything's shut down. You would typically go and like feast at your
Right.
family's house. You go back to the village if you're from the village, that sort of thing.
That's cool.
Everybody's traveling. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, where are you from? And we've established you live in Turkey. But what
Yeah.
part of Turkey are you in now?
Now I live in the northwestern part, in between Istanbul and Ankara, about halfway.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
How
Yep. And then,
I've heard great things about Istanbul. I've never had the delight to go, but it seems like a rad place.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. If you ever get the chance, you should
I
go.
might be going. I have not
Oh,
told you.
really?
Well, I should have said something off the air. Yeah, I might be going, so we'll have to
Oh, really? Yeah.
discuss
Let me
that.
know if you come. Yeah, I'm close,
Oh,
like
for
2 hours or
fucking
something.
sure, dude. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
would be amazing.
And if you pass
Um,
through, like from Istanbul to Ankara, I'm on the road. Like you'll go right past my house.
Oh, that's cool.
You'll be
interesting.
Yeah.
able to see it from the highway. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get one of those cars,
Yeah.
which
What
are
kind of
like,
car?
I don't know. I feel like the cars that I have seen you post are like extremely square,
Oh,
like
yeah.
like
Yeah. Like my
very
car. Yeah. Yeah. You get a
angular.
little Euro car, a little tiny
Yeah,
thing.
which I love. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that.
A little
That
Czechoslovakian or maybe a
yeah,
Russian
exactly.
Loda.
Right,
Loda,
right.
Skoda. Yeah. You can
Right.
find something.
And you're from the States originally?
Yeah. I'm from Michigan.
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
from Michigan to begin
Cool.
with. Yep. Yep.
How long have you been in
Uh-huh.
Turkey?
I've been in Turkey for, let's see, since 2015.
Oh,
Took a little
wow. Okay.
break, so yeah. I've been here for a while.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Man, I didn't realize it had
Yeah,
been that long.
yeah. It doesn't seem like
Though
it.
I guess you are
But
pretty established. I mean, you like have a family. Like you're
yeah.
there.
I have a Turkish wife. I have kids. I have a house. Yeah,
Yeah,
Nice.
university
you've done
job.
the. So I
Yeah.
guess to skip ahead a little bit, what is the what is the process of assimilation been for you?
To assimilate into.
Acclimation, I guess.
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, well, I live here. I teach at the university, so I
Mm-hmm.
have a very regular sort of life. It's a somewhat prestigious job, I guess, like within the community or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People know me. I live in a small city. It's called Bolu, is the name of my city, by the way. Maybe
How do
300,
how do you
400,000
spell it?
people.
Yeah.
Bolu, Bolu,
Okay, cool.
Bolo.
formerly Constantinopolis. Yeah.
Nice.
Really?
And it's like, eh,
Really?
people know me around town. So I don't speak the language especially well, but I've
You
been here long
probably.
enough. Like, people know my
Yeah.
kids, people know my wife. My wife has been here for like 15 years. She's not from this city. She's from the Black
Okay.
Sea coast. And like, it's weird when you don't know the language and you live a place a long time, because you still assimilate, you still sort of get into the routine of living in a different culture and day-to-day life, but it's like kind of surface level in terms of your communication with people,
Mm-hmm.
but you see the habits and you still pick up on them, and you can still get to know people without
Totally.
speaking to them in this without speaking to them. You see how they act, they see how you act. I speak English with my kids in public because they need to learn English, and people can see the way I communicate with them. Like, they get to know me too, and it's to the point where I've known some people here in this. I've been in this city for about 7 years, and it's to the point where people sort of know me by now, even though we've never had like a real conversation.
Right. Being a regular or
That's-
being recognized is one of the best things, like in in the world. Like I live in a small town, and like the ladies at the gas station
Yeah.
know me and like know what cigarettes I smoke.
Right. Yeah. That feels good. It feels
Totally,
good,
totally.
and it takes a long time to establish. I think, especially in a foreign country, like, it takes a long time for people. And where I am, it kind of has a reputation, I think, of being a bit sealed off. People are somewhat cold. Like, it was not open to outsiders until recently, or no outsiders had much interest in living here until the last 10, 20 years or something. And so the native people, Bolulu, the kind of native people here, uh, they're seen as pretty standoffish and cold and guarded, I would say.
Right.
So it took a long time. It's like you see the same person 100 times before they finally give you a little smile or say, like, hey, Hojam, which is the teacher. They refer to me by my mother
Okay,
tongue.
that's cool.
Wow, dude. So you really are. So
It's
you really
cool.
are like a secret agent, kind of. When
It's like, hey, teacher, hi, teacher. Hey, Hojam is the word. Hey, Hojam.
So that's really funny. And so I'm almost positive that you were a person who, uh, you say that you don't speak the language, but I imagine that you kind of do a
Well, I
little bit, at
do. I
least
don't
in a
speak it
passable
well.
way. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. I speak. I don't speak it well. I speak it every day, of course.
Is it a hard language to learn?
No, I mean that's something, right? To speak it every day is a
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard. I would say it's hard. Yeah, and it's like, uh, I get by. I bought a house and I managed and navigated all that in Turkish. Like, I found a wife and married her. I found a wife
Right.
and married her, and dealt with my in-laws who only speak Turkish. Like, I do it. I speak to. I have a relationship with my mother-in-law. She doesn't speak a word of English. We manage.
This is
So,
extremely ignorant. What does it sound like? What does the language sound like?
ne söyleyeyim, ne yapabilirsin? Ben Keith Hocam, well, shit, I wasn't ready to talk Turkish, now
No, that's more than adequate. That's more
Yeah.
than adequate. I was just wondering what does it kind of sound like? You know what I mean? Like languages sound a
Right,
certain way,
right.
I guess.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of shh in it, I think. Like, um, eşim Samsunlu, 7 yıl Bolu'dayız. 7 yıl Bolu'dayım. İngilizce konuşuyorum, Türkçe konuşmuyorum genelde. Biraz konuşabilirim. Kolay bir şey söyleyebilirim bazen.
Yeah.
I like that. Something
It
like
has
that.
like
Yeah, see,
yeah,
I can't manage that. I don't think it's rhythmic though.
it's rhythmic and
Yeah,
it's like
it has a
it's
nice.
got a beauty to it compared to like
Yeah,
other
it's very like
other
flowing.
languages. I guess that would be the Mediterranean influence because I feel like there's a lot of like kind of
Yeah.
more beautiful languages in the Mediterranean region.
Yeah, I
And
think
that's
so.
what I meant. Like generally, what does the language sound like? You know, which
Right,
is
right.
cool.
The kind of rhythms of it, and it's a glutinate. How do you say glutinative or agglutinative? It means they add suffixes at the end.
Okay.
So, like, for example, Gidiordum, all of that, that's like I was going. All that information is contained in one word. The tense, the I, the verb to go, the continuous, it's all one long word. And
So
each
kind of like
each
German?
part of it. Yeah, exactly. I think German works the same way.
Right.
Huh.
Man, I really wish that
Which is
I
just
really
it just is a different way of speaking. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a simplified way of speaking though, like compared to our dumbass English language.
Sure, sure.
well,
Yeah,
there
pretty
at
much.
least there at least are uniform rules.
Right,
You know,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's been
been around for a
standardized
while. Yeah.
within the last 100 years. It's been standardized too. Like when the republic started, they standardized it. They tried to get rid of a lot of the irregularities, switched to Roman script from Arabic script, so it's
Huh.
easier to learn than it would have been like in the Ottoman era or something like that. And if you were to hear
Gotcha.
my wife speak it or a native speaker speak it, anybody, it is kind of beautiful when you hear somebody who speaks very well. It has a nice rhythm, and it's not like, I don't know, it's not harsh, it's not abrupt. It's very kind of
Right.
flows. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of this shwa sound, a lot of and it doesn't have any of those like crazy throat sounds like German or Arabic
Oh God, yeah,
Right.
that can be a
yeah,
little frightening to English speakers.
yeah, yeah. German and like Russian just sound mad to me. Like at all, you could be
Right.
saying the sweetest fucking thing on the planet, and it sounds like you're saying, "I'm gonna bash your head in."
Yeah, yeah, it's scary, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
So when did you start getting into clothing?
Oh man, that's a good question. Should I? Let's see. Where can I start with this? I would say, like, and I know this has come up a lot on the show. You guys talk about subcultures a lot
Right.
mhm.
and how that kind of develops like an eye for certain items of clothing, and I think that was it for me too. Like I mentioned to Connor the other day, my father was a biker, and like all my uncles were bikers. Which there's a uniform, and there's like stuff that's cool to wear, and
Right.
stuff that's
Uh,
not cool to
so,
wear.
Like
quick
Jason
sidebar.
Flanagan's father. I think.
Yeah,
Were they in a club, like an actual club or like a well known club by chance?
like a gang? No, no, no.
Yeah,
I knew some guys.
I don't
At one
necessarily
point my
mean one.
land.
I don't totally mean 1% clubs, but like there are other motorcycle clubs that
Yeah,
are like somewhat well known that aren't in
yeah,
that.
yeah, sure. Like Iron Coffins, Hell's
Yeah,
Angels, or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, those are all over Michigan. There are chapters all over. My landlord at one point was in Iron Coffin. I had a landlord who's a family friend who was in the Iron Coffins. I don't know
Oh, that's
much
cool.
about them or like the particular.
Iron Coffins. Well, that's a great
Yeah, yeah,
name.
yeah.
Yeah, motorcycle
I
clubs
never knew any Hell's Angels.
interest me so much that like given the opportunity, I have to ask.
Yeah, no, I wish I knew more about that. I don't. My dad, my parents had friends, of course, that were involved in motorcycle clubs, but and like
My
occasionally you
stepdad
would
is in
hear
the.
of drug busts and that kind of, that those exciting kind of rumors like in the 90s, but I
Right.
don't know how active they were by then. I think a lot of it is just sort of like in name only.
Yeah, for
Or,
sure.
it's just like there's a clubhouse where they hang out and do
Yeah,
normal stuff, party or whatever.
party and
My
shoot pool.
stepdad, who is not of the
Yeah. Right.
criminal,
Shoot you.
if not of the criminal element, is in a BMW Airheads club, which is like
Who's
their
that?
my stepdad, their
Oh, cool.
I guess they're air cooled engines, and that's
Okay.
like they have rules for the club, which are like you have to do something the simplest way.
Okay.
Like you're not allowed to do X, Y, or Z. Like the
Sure. It's in the
engine has to
charter.
be air cooled, which I think is kind of tight. Like
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
that sort of code.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. What's another thing? Like it's like clothing. You follow these rules. Or you don't, like you transgress the rules for specific reasons or to ruffle feathers or whatever. My dad one time, like he reunited with his best friend from childhood in their 50s or something or early 60s, and his friend gave him this list of rules for their skateboard club from like 1956 or something.
Oh, that's
And it was like
amazing.
number one, yeah, it was cool. It's like number one, no girls. Number two, like you put the roller skate wheels in this certain way, and then no blue wheels. Like it's just random stuff like 6, 7-year-old kids would write in the 50s.
Right.
But it was so cool. It was a cool document.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so your dad and uncles were bikers, and so you were around that.
We're into motorcycles, yeah. So I never was super into that, but I think I became aware that there was like they dressed this way, and it was a little bit different than everybody else dressed.
Right.
It was like there was some kind of way to signal that you were a part of that group, and then there were specific items that were cool about that, like Perfecto style jackets or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of my uncles got a cafe racer, which I think is, if I'm right, the kind without I don't know if it was the real one, but the kind without the collar, right?
Yeah.
The cafe racer, yeah.
Thing, which I don't really like those. I like the Perfectos. I think it's like beautiful.
The cafe racer is like, right? Because that has the racing stripes on it, right?
Not always.
I'm just talking about this collar, this stand.
Yeah,
collar.
it's like a banded collar that has like a strap that causes it usually. It's
like,
I
just thought that they had the racing stripes
English or something, or European to me. But anyway, like when he had that, it's like, man, it felt like he had stepped out or something. Like he'd gone outside of the group. And this same uncle bought a Ducati eventually when everybody had Harleys. Like he was sort of intentionally going away from his brothers.
And a feet European.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And he wrecked it too. It was a bad move.
Should have had a hog.
Yeah, exactly. He was doing wheelies on it and he wrecked it. It was terrible.
Wow.
Oh man. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. And so there was that, and then like later on I was into our little small town punk rock scene. I think I was talking to Matt. We were talking about Small Brown Bike the other day. That was kind of big. Yeah, that was the biggest group to come out of my little town. My town was like 7,000 people and shrinking. A little town in Michigan.
Damn.
But there was Small Brown Bike, and then before that, they were LESC. It was the same guys from Small Brown Bike plus one other guy. And then there was a kind of little punk scene, and my town is halfway between Detroit and Chicago. So occasionally you would get like bands from those cities or from surrounding little towns. And then I moved to a college town, like maybe 40 miles away, and kind of was like, I was playing in bands in my hometown. Later on, I was like living in a punk house and we were hosting bands, having basement shows and stuff. And I think that's another thing, like a subculture where I became aware of like what certain clothing items could mean or signal or something like that. I was totally skateboarding when I was a kid too. Yeah, all that stuff.
Out of curiosity, how old are you, if you don't mind answering?
Yeah, it's all right. I just turned 39 Sunday.
Yeah. Happy belated birthday.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So I turned 40 last year, so I'm in the same, like we're in the same kind of era of shit. Yeah, and like
right.
I grew up in a small town. We didn't really have a music scene here, but like 20 minutes away there was a college town, and like some of the first shows that I went to were in that town, and it was like, yeah, you might get a local from like Atlanta or a band from Atlanta come play, but like, or some random indie band that like wasn't huge but was known. It's a fun experience doing that shit.
Yeah, it was so exciting. It was really cool. And out of that, I think, well, those small town punk scenes are so cool too, because if you get involved in it, I played in a band, but a lot of my friends were helping. Like they would set up the shows, they would get a hold of people, they make flyers. Like you got all that stuff has to be coordinated, and then a lot of people went on to do other things with this kind of skills that they picked up, like all this kind of general DIY type skills.
Right. The other cool part about it is that like when you're in that kind of small scene, there aren't really rules or anything, because you don't, like, none of you know what the fuck you're doing. You're just figuring it out.
Right.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Less dogma.
I think so, and it's not as segmented either, because anybody who's into music is gonna hang out. Like everybody went to the same shows, and so we had like one place basically in the town where we could have shows. It was the It's the VFW, I think, if I remember right. And like
Of
that's it.
course
That's
it
where
was.
everybody went to hang out. Of course, it was the VFW. Yeah, we had one other place too. Actually, now that
Mm-hmm.
I think about it, but it's so cool. And like the sort of surrounding punks from every little podunk town and village in a 60-mile radius would come out for the shows because what else were they going to do? It was the only
Right.
show. It's the only thing going on. Maybe that month or maybe in a 6-month period. It's like so rare for that stuff to happen. Sometimes there would be like long gaps with nothing at all if you
Yeah.
were like looking to go to a punk show or whatever, and also like indie bands and other stuff. It all got sort of lumped in. And when I moved into a college town, Kalamazoo, Michigan, I don't know if you guys have been up there.
I haven't been up
It
there,
was
but
I know it. I haven't been
yeah,
there.
I have a friend who lives
it's
there.
it's tight. That's where I lived for most of my 20s. It was a very good time, and a lot. It was close enough to my hometown that I ended up like in my last year of university. I was living in a house with a bunch of dudes from my hometown who were just there basically for the music scene and for other stuff. And I was going to school, and like it was their friends from work, my friends from university, their friends from college and other kind of music scene stuff. And that was a great experience too. And everything is like mixed up, as you say. When it's a small scene like that, like the metal kids hang out and then the punks hang out. And like
Right. Right. Yeah.
Well, because
Every
everybody's on the
weirdo
same
just finds
scene.
other. Oh,
right,
sorry, Connor.
everybody congregates and this. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. You
Um,
find your people, as Tony said.
right.
yeah. So I was gonna ask you. I was gonna quote you even. Um,
Hmm.
so I asked you about your thoughts on dressing people in writing,
Yeah.
and you said yes, the characters are rarely naked, and maybe one early motivation to learn about clothing is because good writers almost always understand clothing and mediocre authors always ignore or misunderstand it, which I thought was so sharp. Um, and that's true. Like if you think about a book that is good, like it's not like clothing is always there, but like no one is naked, right? For the most part,
Right.
people are
Yeah.
not naked
Yeah.
very often in good books. Um,
Yeah.
so I
I
was
mean,
wondering,
you can ignore it. You don't have to write about it, but
at
generally
your
that's
peril,
what's that?
you can ignore it at your peril, kind of.
Yeah, right. I think the way clothing is described or what they're wearing, it's going to say something about social class. It's going to say something about their interests, about their engagement with fashion, about what they do for a living, their aesthetic sense. It's going to communicate a lot of things, I guess. Although also, I should say I'm hesitant to well, I'm a little bit iffy on this idea that clothing speaks or is a language or it communicates something. I don't know if it's the best way to think about it.
A
But
little. I mean, I don't think it's the best way to think about it. I think that it is. I think that it is a nonverbal communication.
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel like it's one of those things. It can be that if you understand that you want it to be that, but in just
sure.
everyday
That's maybe the
normal
problem.
life,
Yeah.
like the people at the grocery store, for the most part, aren't thinking about clothing the same way that, say, one of the three of us does.
Right. And if you can't speak something and be understood, then that's not like the language doesn't work like that at all. That's sort of a basic necessity of what communication should do. So like
Right,
it has to be very intentional. So you know what you're saying, and somebody knows what you're trying to say as well. It's like a very limited amount. There's a very limited amount of people that are going to understand that language if you're thinking about it like a language. I think.
for sure.
So, but anyway, yeah, like back to all this kind of subcultural stuff and the stuff that we're into now, like vintage clothing and fit pics and whatever else, all this stuff. Like we know the audience, we know the language, we all speak that language. We sort of
Right,
know
Mhm.
what the
right,
signs are. We know the difference between this and that. And yeah, well, and there was like training to pick those things up as a kid, as an adolescent, like hanging around with these people. I think that might have been part of the basis. And then later on, when I got into writing, like I just started to notice that writers knew about that stuff. It's like writers generally know about architecture, they know about clothing. You need to describe a place. You should know about trees. You should know about this kind of stuff. You need to know about everything. But clothing was like a good place to start. And another important thing, I guess I should mention, my my grandfather was like a kind of the historian of my town.
oh,
He
that's
he uh,
really cool.
he was a Yeah, he wrote a book. Like he's a known kind of dude there. And my great grandfather, like they're very civic minded people. My great grandfather was the guy that wrote the calligraphy on the high school diplomas for graduation. Like
Wow,
he'd write them out by hand because he was a calligrapher. And he
Wow.
also was like
that's really
a
wild.
gunsmith, and he did some other. I think maybe he also was doing some kind of like gilt insignia on the diplomas as well. And he was just doing this stuff for free, just to, like as a public service. And my grandfather was like the photographer, the sports photographer for the local sports teams. It was for the newspaper and stuff. So they were like very involved in this. And as a result of this kind of historian stuff, and he was into genealogy, he was also like a compulsive hoarder of a lot of objects, especially old photos. And he's sort of like, if
Hmm.
you want to know about, for instance, early Michigan history and that southern part of Michigan, especially, you're going to want to see the collection. Like you're going to
Right.
refer to his collection, which is now in the hands of his oldest son, my uncle. And but it didn't stop there. Like he would also save bars of soap from every hotel he went to in the world, and like packs of sugar from every meal he had in a diner his whole life,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he would
Was
like
he?
arrange them into
Wait,
like booklets.
you said this was your grandfather, right?
My grandfather, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
my
So
grandfather.
he would have been from the Depression era,
Yeah,
which
absolutely. Yep, there you
absolutely
go.
makes sense.
Yeah,
That packs of sugar and things like the soap. For a second, I was like, that's kind of funny because it's not that dissimilar from matchbooks, but it's kind of weird
right. Yeah,
compared to
yeah.
matchbooks. But yeah, like my
Stress
grandparents.
trauma, right?
Yeah, my grandparents were the same way. Like in a lot of ways, it
Yeah.
got better as they got a little bit older, but yeah, just like
Uh huh.
every fucking thing saved. Yeah, I might be able to.
I
My
never thought about that angle on it exactly because it was
yeah,
also like organized like a collector. But you're right. Yeah, that was probably
right,
part of the
right.
mindset.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
is
I
how he
mean,
was.
there's a
How,
difference between being a collector and being a hoarder, and I feel like hoarding tendencies, especially for random shit like a pack of sugar, comes from growing up in the depression. From my experience with this
Well, it
yeah,
comes
in
from
yeah, that
ways.
a
sounds right.
trauma. It doesn't
Oh
necessarily
yeah,
have
for
to
sure.
be
But
related,
I guess what I'm
right? I
saying,
mean,
because of what I do, I have seen this firsthand so much at like estate
Yeah,
sales
right, right.
of greatest generation folks, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's you know compared to
The
other
boomers are
types of
not the
situations.
boomers are not slacking though. You're going to be seeing the boomers
Oh
do the
yeah, for
same thing
sure, for
for like
sure. Yeah.
20
Well, I
years
mean,
maybe
I feel like that
because
maybe is a learned
money
behavior in
happens.
certain ways too.
Yeah,
Oh, my
yeah,
parents did
sure,
this, so
sure.
I have to do this too. We all of us have.
it's like all those TLC shows, that are like, well, so and so is like doing this wild behavior, and then the
Right.
woman is like, yeah, and
My
so this
dog
is the
died.
spot where my husband was shot in the head
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
while
totally, totally.
our house was being burgled, and it's like, so that's why you never leave the house.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This is
I,
the
I,
cup my daughter drank from on December 3rd, 1991, the day
Right,
after she won the spelling bee. It's just like
right,
this insane thing.
right,
right, right.
right.
Make an
Not,
example
not
of your
dis-
life like that so you don't lose.
not trying to discount
Yeah.
that kind of anybody that's suffered through trauma and does
No, no, it's just
wild
like
shit.
No, I have been.
TLC
I mean, yeah.
pretends that there's no cause,
Right,
that
right.
it is
Yeah,
not
sure.
a medical issue. It is like just a weird coincidence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why
I
we
have
love
this
TLC.
tendency, and I think my father does too, of collecting. Basically, I don't know if it's genetic. I suspect there might be something sort of genetic about it, maybe because I don't, like I can kind of see the depression era trauma thing for my father. I can't quite pinpoint something. Oops. Hello, hello. Okay, okay, from right there. As I was saying, I lost what I was saying. My sorry, yeah, yeah. Both my father, my grandfather, my dad, and my grandpa, they they hoard, and I have this tendency to hoard or collect stuff. And I guess the point is that I grew up around a ton of stuff, a ton of old stuff. I grew up in thrift stores and
Hmm.
antique shops. My father also buys and sells antiques a bit. He does a bit of
Oh, nice.
small time antique dealing. like very small time, and he just started maybe in the last 10 years or so after retirement. But I grew up in that world of like thrift stores and antique shops and old and junk and stuff basically, and I was always into it and attracted to it, and I was always thrifting from the time I was a kid. Like I started buying my own clothes when I was, I don't know, maybe 13 or 14 at the
Mhm.
local Goodwill or whatever, and then buying records and stuff too.
It
It's kind of
shows,
cultural.
dude. I mean, it
Yeah.
really shows. It's like you have distinct style.
Also,
Wow.
do do you happen to remember like one of the first or maybe the first item, like clothing item you thrifted?
Oh, I got a pair of Doc Martens that didn't fit, probably like 1996. Like I thought they were
Nice,
so cool, and
nice.
it was the sort of thing where like I didn't know exactly what it was, but it had some appeal, and then I found a way to research it. I don't know how I found out what they were, and I didn't know like all the kind of legacy of Doc Martens or whatever, but I got
Mhm.
them,
Right.
and there was something intriguing about that weird sole and like the weird yellow stitching, and it was close enough to fitting. I didn't know any better. I was like, yeah, maybe I can finesse it, you know. So I took it home, and I somehow I found out about it, or maybe actually, because at the time I was reading like Hit Parader magazine. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
definitely do.
And I think they sold Doc Martens. I think they had mail order for like there would be those inserts for the T-shirt companies, and I think they also sold like spikes for leather jackets and Doc Martens and this kind of like
Yeah,
rocker
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
wear. So I think
like
maybe I
yeah.
put
punk,
two and two
like a
together,
punk
and I was like, oh, this
costume.
is what I have, and I really love that because it's like this. I found this in this little dusty thrift store in my small town in Bumblefuck, and it has this connection to the larger world, and it has like this history and these
Right.
whatever. Yeah, that was cool. It
Hell
felt like
yeah.
some bit of culture right where I was, which is
Yes.
a place of maybe not so much culture, or so it seemed.
Oh,
Now I know it.
dude,
It kind of is.
yeah, I feel it entirely. Like for me, I think we got internet when I was a sophomore, so I was like 15, almost 16,
Yeah,
and
same.
was like a punk kid, but didn't really know what punk was. I guess I just like wanted
Hmm.
to, you know, I understood it in a way, but like didn't really know anything about it. And then I found
Yeah,
a website that I think is still in business called angryyoungandpoor.com that sold like
awesome.
docks and grinders boots and like studs and spikes,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
cool.
like mass produced punk patches. But like I distinctly
Uh-huh.
remember the Hit Parader thing too. They had that kind of like it. At that point, I guess it probably would have been like grunge or mostly post grunge stuff. But it's like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
this is like,
I
yeah, I'm
was
like a rock and
specifically
roll
looking for
outfitter.
right. That's it. Yeah, I was specifically looking for the Marilyn Manson articles at that point. That's
Oh
all
yeah,
I cared
totally,
about. Yeah,
totally.
but it would have whatever style that they were pushing. But it was the same thing. Like they were selling rock T-shirts and yeah, spike collars or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, yeah. We all had studded
Pre Hot
belts, and
Topic.
yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, I guess that was like early days of Hot Topic too, because I started
Yeah,
shopping there
sure,
when I was
sure.
like
Like
12 or
just
13.
before maybe. Oh wow, yeah.
That
I didn't.
the
I
quote
never
unquote
got into
nice
all that,
mall
but that
had
was.
one.
Uh huh.
Yeah, I mean, I stole a lot from there later on too, so
There you go.
that was always fun. But like,
Yeah.
dude, I've said
I
it
think it's the
before,
same thing
probably
though.
on
Those
the
hot topic, like we kind of laughed at the hot topic kids, but looking back on it, that was another way. Like it was another just
yeah,
connection to
it
something
was
else,
exposure,
and an
even if
oasis
it
of
was in a
culture.
fucking
Yeah, it was
mall.
exposure to something.
Right, right.
Like it's hard to say. When I
Like,
first heard the Misfits, for example, like did we know about the Misfits first, or did we see the logo first and then figure it out later?
right,
In a
right.
hot topic
Yeah,
or something. It's hard to trace back originally
yeah.
the first
Especially if you're like,
exposure.
if you're in a rural spot and there's something that's like vaguely cool near you, like it helps. Like I
Yeah,
feel like there's no detractor for that. Even though of
absolutely.
course, I think all of us have made fun of it at one point or another. But it
Yeah,
is what it
sure.
is. It has its place. I got my first
For
Fugazi
sure, for
record at Hot
sure.
Topic. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, right. They sold records and stuff too. Yeah,
yeah, they sold records
crazy.
or gave away records in my case.
Right,
But
right.
yeah,
They were
You know,
available. They
like
were records. They could make it in
they
their
were
pocket.
definitely available. So
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like you've been into kind of thrifting and vintage, basically your whole life. So I guess where you are now, is there anywhere that you like to scratch that itch?
Oh well, for that stuff. When I first moved here, I was in a different city, and there was like a flea. It was a flea market, but it was like very low quality stuff. It was kind of they have these guys that go around. I don't even know what you call it, like a junker or something. They go around like you have to
Like,
imagine this very old world kind of scene. They go around with a hand cart and they say like it's the junk man. Give me your junk.
Right.
And then if you have some junk, you take it to him and you put it on the cart. And then some guys go around in trucks, but still you see people with hand carts going around like that, and they'll pick stuff out of the garbages. So anyway, that's as close as I got for the first year that I was here. There was nothing. I bought a leather jacket and I bought a Kill 'Em All T-shirt, a bootleg Metallica
Oh,
T-shirt.
nice.
Yeah, it's sick. It's got like it's weird. It's Kill 'Em All on the front, but it has like the four M's. I think that's from the Load or Reload era Metallica logo on the back, so you can tell instantly that it's a bootleg
Yeah,
because it's
right.
like the two different
That kind of makes it cooler though.
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought so
bootleg
too.
shit is cool.
Yeah, I like that bootleg shit like that. So I got that, and I got the leather jacket from there, and I was like, man, so this is good actually. This is how I got like seriously into vintage in the last 5 years or so. Like I missed that because I got to know all this stuff in this very physical way of growing up in thrift stores and like going through stuff and feeling it and being around it all the time. Like it was
Right.
several times
Yeah,
a week I would
the
go to the thrift store very close
experience,
to my house.
right? The experience and the like feeling of things is really like something you can't learn anywhere else.
That's absolutely, yeah. To learn fabrics and things like that, and to like recognize. Uh, I mean, it's not subjective. If you get your hands on like an old '50s varsity coat, you can feel instantly like that's nice leather, that's good wool, that's like good. It's a good garment, and they're like it'll stick out if you have
Yeah,
a rack of 50 different things like cheap whatever Kmart stuff. That's gonna stand out, and you're gonna before you even look at the tag and learn about what it is. You're gonna know like that's something special. And I miss
yeah.
like having my hands on that stuff. Where I live, most of the clothing you buy here in Turkey, it's made in Turkey. They have a huge textile
Hmm.
industry. Like they export a lot, I think, to Europe, around the Middle East, and they sell domestically too. But it's cheap. Like it's cheap clothing. It's not particularly good. Uh, it's hard to find like quality clothing. And I was wearing that kind of stuff probably for like the first time in my life, and I really, really missed thrifting and this like touching nice cloth. I guess I think that's the gist of it. And so I started to get like increasingly sort of desperate to get my hands on some American clothing. And in my town now, my current town, there's just one place, and it's like it's in a kind of like I think we were talking about basement. You were talking about basement thrift stores or church thrift stores with somebody recently.
Hmm.
Yeah, with the wooden sleepers guy maybe.
Oh
But it's
yeah,
like
with
that. It's
Yeah,
like
Brian.
yeah.
yeah, it's in the basement of a mosque, but it's not the mosque exactly. It's like this abandoned Ottoman era mansion right next to the mosque that I assume the mosque owns, and they sell. There's one guy, he stands out there and he sells clothing out of there, but it's not organized. It's just in this huge heap, just a huge pile, like rotting
Sounds
Oh.
tile.
fun. Sounds
Yeah. The
fun.
very it was fun. Like if you go to the very, very, very first picture I posted on Instagram, it's me like in a mask, and I'm in that place looking through clothes. It was COVID era, but I would wear a mask there anyway. It's like foul, so rotten. And it's this old, beautiful old mansion, but it hasn't been maintained. It's falling apart. It's just got like piles of clothes in there, and you go and dig in there, and that started to scratch the itch a little bit. I found some. What did I find? I found this like shawl collar denim jacket I have, and I have a Sherpa thing, and I found some '80s Ralph Lauren Andrew pants, like the big pleated ones, the really big ones. I found those in a
Nice.
pile there, and I found like some cool Glen Check jacket there. I found some good stuff, but it still wasn't enough. And I started like in the 8 years I've been here, the online reselling market has developed and has taken off like crazy. and finally there've been
Great.
some reselling sites. So I'm almost totally online now with my purchasing, and I sort of like just learned how to manipulate the algorithm, and I know how to find stuff basically. And a lot of it involves like people just post stuff they don't know what it is. It's a huge mystery how this stuff gets here. Like you guys have seen what I post, this kind of stuff that I found. I have
Yeah.
no idea what it's doing in America. Like I have no idea how it got like a 40s M69 air flight controller code or whatever that thing's called. I don't know how on earth that got to Istanbul. Like it just doesn't make any sense. I just bought
Yeah.
an
It,
M69 the other day from 1974. The person selling it had no idea what it was. Like they just said green jacket with
did,
insulation or something like that. You know, I was like, hell yeah. I have an eye,
did you
like I
get
know
that
a little
Ralph
bit.
sweater? Did you get that
Which one?
crazy like it's
The
not
9/11
patchwork, but it has
tribute one? The 9/11
yeah, yeah.
tribute?
Did you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that?
hell yeah. Yeah, hell
Holy
yeah.
shit, that's fucking
Everything.
wild. I have
Everything.
never
It all
seen that
comes
sweater
from
in person.
Istanbul.
That's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
crazy.
God
It's
damn,
crazy.
dude.
Yeah, I've found
I
some
feel like
good
you.
stuff. And I've
Yeah. Uh, are you the only person like in Turkey searching for shit like this? The
no,
stuff
but
that
there's
you
like
get
five
from
of
that is
us.
wild.
There's a few of
Yeah, yeah.
us, and I've gotten to know
Wait,
them. Yeah, I've like we've crossed
that's
paths.
really
We've
funny.
sold each other stuff. Yeah,
Did
we
uh,
they speak
have you
Turkish.
met
They bought
any?
stuff from me. I buy stuff from them.
Okay, that's cool. Are they
Yeah.
close to you, or are they kind of like all spread all over?
Well, it kind of varies. Some of them I know. Like there's one guy I text. I'm friends with him on Instagram. The others we just sort of have interactions on these sites, on these reselling sites. But there's one guy on there.
Okay.
He's in Istanbul. He bought some things for me, and he came through, and he's like, "Hey, you want to meet?" But I didn't. I got cold feet. I didn't end up going through with it. I didn't meet him face to
Oh
face.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
but maybe sometime he'll come, and I'll meet up with him. Yeah.
People have meetups at like they're like meet me in the parking lot of the police station. It's like I'm not fucking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's sort of like that. He's like, meet me at the mall. It's like, I've known him for a while. I'm sure he's cool, but like, Sunday I was with my kids. I can get up and meet a stranger.
Yeah, right. At the dead drop.
Right, right. I just sold him some Red Wings too, and they were squeaky because the shank had come loose, and I was afraid he was getting
Yeah,
from me about it.
he
I
was gonna
told him
shank you.
I told him it was squeaky, but I was afraid he was gonna like walk up in these squeaky Red Wings, and I wasn't gonna be able to deal with
Wow.
it. I told him, I said, they're squeaking. The shank's broken. He's like, I don't care. I'll buy them anyways.
Right.
But I couldn't. I didn't
Oh,
want
well.
to give him this. Whatever.
It was warned about the shank.
Yeah, he was warned about that. He was happy with him. He was wearing with him. I mean, he wore them. He probably resold them. Who knows? I don't sell any shoes with squeaky shanks. By the way, I will warn you if there's a loose shank.
Not a squeaky
I gotta let the
soul
people know
cover.
because I do sell stuff.
Yeah, we wouldn't besmirch your name
No,
on our
no.
program in
Never
that
do
way.
that. Look at my
Anyway.
reviews. They're 5-star. All the reviews are 5-star.
Right, and they're not a squeaky soul among them.
No. No loose shanks.
I was going to ask you, and you're not going to answer this question. You're not going to take this well, I don't think, but I'm going to say it anyway. How do you keep innovating with your outfits? Because they always are fresh. So, like, what is the deal with that?
Well, thank you. That's a nice thing to say. I don't know. I mean, I buy stuff. I compulsively buy things constantly. I sell stuff to buy more stuff. I obsess. I search every day. I look for new stuff. And then when I have stuff, I try to wear it. And everything I have, I try to wear. Like everything I own, I try to fit it in, like in the appropriate season. So if I notice, like I go through things, I feel like something's being neglected, I'll try to work it in.
I get it. I get it.
Down.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I find I'm just wearing the same shit sometimes, and it's like, why do I have 50 shirts if I'm only going to wear 3 of them?
Yeah. My general rule is if I don't want to wear something literally every day, not that I wear something every single day. Well, sometimes I wear things every single day, but like I don't want to own it. Like if I don't wear it, if I don't want to wear it all the time, I don't need to have it.
Do you have like a pretty small kind of capsule?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got kind of a set. I haven't seen as many of your pics, but you have kind of like a very distinct look.
And yeah, I feel like
I'm like the kind of work pants, work
Right.
It seems like you
Yeah.
could keep it really limited and still achieve that same kind of silhouette and look, which works for you and it's solid, I think.
So, like a lot of that comes from the fact that I destroy clothing. Uh, I that is just something about me that I've. It's how it's always been. So, like, I wear a work jacket or like a Bolioli sport coat the exact same way, and if that sport coat
Mm-hmm.
gets fucked up, I'm just like, okay, I'll
So be
safety
it.
pin the
Yeah.
pocket back on because I caught it
Sure,
on something.
sure, yeah. I
But
get it.
yeah, like I feel like I have a pretty broad range of interests, and I have a few different like vibes. But yeah, like I
Mm.
I rotate stuff out that's not like a core part of my wardrobe enough where like
Mm-hmm.
I've got a bunch of t-shirts, but like I've got 4 flannels. I just don't like I don't have a really broad range just because like
I see.
if I'm not wearing something all the time or like wanting to wear something all the time, I don't need it. So
Yeah, I
I
feel like
like the idea of a uniform, and that uniform shifts slightly like
yeah,
on occasion.
tweak it depending on the season. And I think with workwear stuff too, like the whole point is to wear it out. It's gonna look better
Oh
when
yeah,
you wear it
totally. I
anyway. So what's the point of having like a bunch of new jeans and like crisp flannels
right.
saying
Yeah,
that
like
Yeah,
somebody's
the
gonna break in?
double knees, for example.
What's that?
yeah, I'll get like
The double knee. It's
Right,
like
right,
the
yeah.
double knee is there for you to wear through it.
I bought some
yeah,
crispy ones and I couldn't wear them. They stand up,
dude.
like they stand up on
I
their own. They
like
don't hang right. I
Yeah, I
soiled
have
them.
these Dickies that are way too stiff. I feel like they look sort of like trousers. Like
yeah.
I
My
don't
Yeah,
know.
my favorite pair of pants right now is a pair of like not even that old black Dickies that I got for like $2 at a thrift store. I need to do some repairs on them, but like I could just
yeah.
go a mile and a half up the road and get a pair of like brand new ones at Walmart for $20 or whatever. But then they're going to be
Yeah, feel
stiff
terrible.
and uncomfortable as fuck until they get broken in. And I'm like, I
I
could
hate that.
go and then like soak them and then run over them a few times, like with my
Right.
van. I've had this thought process.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just haven't
Sure,
gone through with
sure.
it. Yeah, my days of wearing like uncomfortable, heavy, like super fucking rigid shit is over.
No, I'm not into it. And wait, which Dickies are they?
They're just
Which model is like
Just
the
the
they're the ones that look like Carhartts. They're like black duck canvas with a like hammer loop, like carpenter pants
the hammer
style.
loom? Double knees?
Yeah. No, they're just
Like the
regular.
double knee? Oh, just regular carpenter pants. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
not the
okay.
double knee,
Like a
but
duck.
yeah, like even the duck canvas is just like so stiff. I want to find
Yeah,
another pair in a thrift, and it's like one of those things
won't
where
broke in.
you find something you love, and then you used to see it all the time, and then you never see them again. I haven't seen another pair in
Right,
my size
yeah.
set.
It goes away. I've got the white,
Yeah,
the
just
off-white double knees, and I felt like they broke in a lot easier than the Carhartts. The Carhartts are
yeah,
upsetting.
because
I did buy some new Dickies, and they didn't take too long. I don't think you have to
right.
destroy those too much compared to Carhartt's just
I
crazy.
had the natural double knees. They were extremely wide.
Very wide. The Dickies.
Yeah,
Oh,
they were
really?
extremely wide.
Maybe I have like a modernized pair or something. I don't know. Mine feel a little bit
I mean,
slim, like
there's no
especially in the
quality
thighs and
control.
waist.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say,
It's just all over
what
the
is
place. I
the?
wish mine were some
Yeah,
wide boys, but they're not really. They're a little bit
yeah.
skinny.
Mine
Because
are
I have a
basically like
blue pair that I have worn a lot, and they're very soft now, which is
Mm.
like where you have to get them. I think you have to get them to that point, or they otherwise are just like a weird plastic bag.
Yeah. And Dickies are cool. This when I worked at Kmart for many years, and they sold Dickies, and that's what I just like wear
For
one,
many
wear
years.
through
For
it, and then
many
start
years.
again. Yeah, my first job, I was there for years, and I'd like just buy a pair of Dickies and wear them until they were threadbare, and then buy another pair. And I had all the
yep.
like different iterations, and I think at one point they made like a kind of Carhartt style. I mean, I don't. You can correct me if I'm wrong, man. I think you know more about the workwear stuff, but I think they had like a kind of like Carhartt double knee style with the cutout double knees
Yeah.
at one point,
Hmm.
and I think I had some in gray, like a light gray heavy duck, if I remember correctly. They were crazy.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
that
those
sounds
around
right.
quite something. Yeah.
Y-
Nuts.
yeah, like
This
in
would have
high
been like
school,
early
from
aughts.
like right, yeah, like basically from I think late ninth grade all through the rest of high school, all I wore was like the regular 874 work pant in like
Mm-hmm.
black,
That's what mine
brown.
are.
Yeah, only like
Ah.
the that kind of like petrol blue is my favorite. And fun
Oh
fact,
yeah, yeah. Those are
which
like the classic, like Ed Templeton pants. This guy
yeah,
was big
exactly,
into wearing it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm I don't remember if I posted this when were doing the old fits thing that we were doing, but my senior photo, I'm wearing those and like a pair of black chucks, and yeah,
Nice.
that's my
Wow.
claim to
Yeah.
fame.
There you go.
Yeah, I
That's a
feel like at
uniform
this
right
point,
there. You were ahead of the curve on that one.
yo, honestly, I've said this to like other friends. I feel like at this point, I've just come back around to dressing like I did in high school. It's like with better shit,
Yeah.
obviously,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
yeah,
Older
just like
shit.
work pants, older shit, work pants, a t-shirt, a light jacket, and then like
Yeah.
work boots or like Chucks or Vans or something.
There you go.
And yeah, it sounds like you're
Yeah.
carving out kind of a good clothing life for yourself.
Carving out,
Carving out.
Matt. Ha ha
Ha
ha.
ha ha ha
Very
ha.
funny, right?
So this is a random thought that I had when you were talking earlier. Have you been to any shows while you've been in Turkey?
No, I haven't. I have not. I have not.
Surely, like Istanbul has a music scene of some sort.
Yeah, yeah. I think you could find something in Istanbul. Yeah, I can't. I was 30 when I moved here, so I was already like, I wasn't really going to shows in the States. I mean, when I was
Right,
in,
right.
like at that age, at that time, I was going once in a while. I would go see something, but it was very rare, and it was like a special occasion. Yeah, like I was in grad school. I was living a very quiet life at that point, and the
Right.
friends I had that I was involved with that stuff, like I just sort of grew apart from a little bit.
Understandable.
Yeah, so no, not really. And then when I came here, I was just into other stuff. So no, and I bought tickets. I was gonna go see Khaki King. I don't know if you know. She's a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
She was in.
Oh yeah, dude, I fucking know her. Yeah, I saw her.
Really? Where'd you see
Yeah.
her? In Baltimore?
With no, in DC, and that that record label Candy Rat
Yeah.
Records. They were all. It was like Justin King and I think Don Ross.
Candy Rat. What is Candy Rat? Is it like a blues label or something?
Candy Rat Records is
Candy.
is a record label out of Seattle that does all acoustic
Guitar music.
finger
Oh, Andy
style
McKee. Yeah, okay,
music.
Andy McKee and
Yeah,
that kind
Andy
of stuff.
McKee,
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that shit. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
But Khaki King's way better than Andy McKee for anybody listening and
Oh
looking to get into
yeah,
this.
my God.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, the Candy Rat stuff. Right. That's like they do that
Yeah,
kind of
right.
Joni Mitchell thing with the right hand. Yeah. But I was gonna go see her. I can't remember if she canceled or if I think I just decided not to go. I think I backed out at the last minute. So. And there was a metal fest coming up. Who's coming? Samuel is coming. Samuel.
You gotta go, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go all the way to Istanbul for a black metal festival to see one band. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Get in a bus for 5 hours. Yeah.
I guess that would be a hike.
Yeah, it's just it's a pain. It's a pain. I'm old. I have a job. I have 2 jobs. I'm busy. I got 2 kids. I got, the downtime. I'm generally with my kids or I'm doing something around the house. So, yeah.
Well, thank you tremendously for giving us your time on this evening.
Oh yeah. No, this is a pleasure. This has been a pleasure. Absolutely.
Well, so we usually allow our guests some of our valuable airtime to plug or promote whatever they want, which it can be your own Instagram if you like. So you have the floor.
Oh, thanks. Well, I mean, you can look at my Instagram. It's Fez. By the way, originally that was without the Fez from the Steely Dan song, and that
Nice.
to
damn it.
Yeah, and it's a reference to like the outlawing of the Fez in Turkey at the time of the founding of the Republic, and that's my name. That has been my name for many, many years before I even knew where Turkey was. So it's just a weird coincidence that I ended up living here. Very, very strange coincidence.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's that, and you can find it like there's a bunch of characters. I'm gonna try to change it back to without the fez. You can look at that. I make music, asbestos, comma incorporated, INC. I make guitar music, not like Andy McKee, maybe a little bit more like
Right.
Jackie King or like early Wyndham Hill or American Primitive, that style. And I also have a house music record. Maybe I'll finish this year and put it up there. It's Asbestos
Oh,
Fuck yeah.
Incorporated.
wow.
An attempt.
Asbestos Incorporated is a great
Yeah, that's a fucking killer
name
name.
too.
Fucking killer name.
Thanks. There's a few up there. I don't know if it's good or not, but those are my records, and I'll make more in the future when I get around to it. And my name is Keith Carver. I write. You can find my poetry online, fiction. I'm working on a novel. I said we weren't going to talk about that, but it's like I'm writing it. Someday it'll come out. In the meantime, I do have some published work up, so that's that. I'll plug
Great.
that. That's it.
Great. Okay. So I would be remiss if I did not ask. You're making guitar music. What are you playing right now?
Nothing right now. Sadly, I'm not making any music. I have no involvement in music right now. I'm trying to write a novel. Yeah, I'm working on a novel.
Okay, gotcha.
But I
do.
I follow your I follow your Instagram, your posts about your gear and stuff, which is
sick. Okay, yeah. If there's a guitarist
and
that comes
As
congrats
long
on,
on
as
the
someone's talking about gear.
congrats on the record too.
oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I
Extinction Age.
appreciate that.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great name.
Thank you.
It's great.
I don't know if it's as good as Asbestos Incorporated, but that's pretty fucking sick.
I was gonna say Asbestos Incorporated opening for Extinction Age. Sounds great.
Let's make it happen.
Someday.
We'll do it in your small town in Turkey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll do it at my house.
We'll play for your family, and that's about
it.
Anyway, hell yeah, Keith, dude, thank you so much once again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Everyone, thank you for listening. Please follow, rate, subscribe on your platform of choice. Shoot us an email if you feel so compelled. apocalypsestuds@gmail.com. Give us a follow on Instagram @apocalypsestuds. And once again, I am Matt Smith @RebelsRogues.
And I'm Connor Fowler @Real Connor Nunez. Now, still, I haven't changed it back yet, but maybe I won't. We'll see.
Yeah, well, follow along for the saga. Anyway, we'll see you next week with a new episode.
Bye.